When we think about the help of people around us, it is natural to assume that those who love us most will always be there to protect and support us. Parents, siblings, friends, teachers, colleagues, each of them may play a role in guiding us, providing comfort, or offering solutions to our problems. But no matter how sincere and well-intentioned they may be, every human being has limitations. Their energy, their wealth, their patience, their ability to act on our behalf, all of it is restricted. There comes a time when we realize that the support of people is never absolute, because they themselves are weak and in need. They cannot control their own destiny, let alone ours. They cannot guarantee us happiness, success, or protection from harm. This is why when we place our complete reliance on others, we are often left disappointed because we expected perfection from imperfect beings. Sometimes a friend may want to help us financially, but they simply do not have enough to give. At other times, a loved one may want to protect us from harm, but their health, power, or influence is too little compared to the problem we are facing. There are also moments when people might intend to help us, but circumstances beyond their control prevent them. And there are times when the same people we thought would stand by us walk away, change their hearts, or abandon us altogether. This is the fragile nature of human help. It can exist in one moment and vanish in the next. Even the most powerful individuals in society are bound by their weaknesses. Leaders with armies cannot prevent illness from striking them. The wealthiest people on earth cannot buy eternal happiness. The strongest athletes cannot stop their bodies from aging. All of creation is bound by limitation, because only the Creator is limitless. This is a truth that every believer must come to understand, that while Allah has placed people as a means of support for us, they are not the ultimate source of help. They are only instruments in His hands, and He decides whether their assistance reaches us or not. Think of how often people run from one person to another in search of solutions. Someone faces illness, they go to doctors, then to specialists, then perhaps to different cities or even countries in search of treatment. This is not wrong, but sometimes, despite exhausting all human efforts, no cure is found. That is when we realize that even the most intelligent and experienced of experts cannot guarantee healing. Similarly, when a person is facing hardship in their livelihood, they may run to relatives for financial aid or to employers for opportunities, but despite their efforts, doors remain closed. These situations teach us that human help is uncertain, but Allah's help is absolute. He is the one who allows people to help us, and He is the one who withholds it. The disappointment that comes when people fail us is actually a mercy, because it redirects our hearts toward the one who never fails. Allah wants us to understand that creation cannot be the center of our trust. He wants us to rely on Him fully, because only then can we experience true peace and security. The Quran reminds us time and again that wealth, children, family, and power are all temporary, but Allah is everlasting. Whoever ties their heart to what is temporary will suffer when it fades away, but whoever ties their heart to Allah will never be left empty-handed. Therefore, the first and most important lesson is that human help is limited. No matter how much love, wealth, or power people may have, they can never be our ultimate saviors. They can try, they can offer what they have, but in the end, it is Allah who controls the outcome. Recognizing this truth saves us from disappointment and despair, because instead of expecting perfection from people, we place our trust in the one who is perfect. This understanding does not mean we reject the help of others, rather it means we appreciate it as a blessing from Allah, while knowing that the true source of all help is Him alone. When our hearts rest on this belief, we are not shaken by betrayal or abandonment, because we know that even if every single person were to turn away from us, Allah remains by our side, and His help is enough for every difficulty we face. Ultimate help belongs to Allah, because He is unlike His creation in every way. He is the one who has no weakness, no limitation, no need, and no imperfection. He is Al-Qadir, the one who has power over all things. When He decrees a matter, He only says be, and it is. He is Al-Ghanid, completely free of need, while all of us are poor and dependent upon Him. He is Al-Walid, true protector and helper, who never abandons His servants. When we understand these qualities, our hearts begin to recognize that no matter how many means we use or how many people we depend on, if Allah does not will it, nothing will happen. And if Allah wills it, nothing can prevent it. The Quran clearly reminds us, if Allah helps you, none can overcome you. But if he forsakes you, who is there that can help you after him? This verse should be etched in our hearts because it contains the secret to inner peace. It tells us that the only help that really matters is the help of Allah. If he is on your side, no harm can reach you except what he allows. And if he withholds his support, then even the whole world united cannot rescue you. This is why those who truly believe never put their ultimate trust in wealth, in armies, in influence, or in people. They put their trust in Allah because they know that he is the only one who has complete control over every aspect of creation. Consider how fragile the help of people really is. A wealthy person may assist you with money, but what happens if tomorrow that wealth is lost? A powerful person may defend you, but what happens if tomorrow they lose their position or influence? A knowledgeable person may guide you, but what happens if tomorrow they themselves fall into confusion? Human help is built on unstable ground, but Allah's help is eternal, unshockable, and flawless. He owns the treasures of the heavens and the earth, and he never runs out of what he gives. When he provides, he does not fear depletion, and when he helps, he does not grow tired. Another important point is that Allah's help reaches us in ways we often cannot imagine. Sometimes he places love for us in the hearts of others, so they come forward to support us without us even asking. Other times he closes certain doors that we thought were good for us, but later we realize those very closures saved us from greater harm. At times his help comes in the form of strength and patience that we did not know we had. We endured trials that would have broken us had it not been for his support. This shows that Allah's help is not limited to the worldly form we might expect. It is broader, wiser, and always perfectly suited to what we need. This realization should free us from fear and anxiety. Many times people live in constant worry. What if this person leaves me? What if I lose my job? What if nobody helps me? But a believer who knows that Allah is the ultimate helper says instead, even if all the people in the world abandon me, Allah is enough. Even if all the doors seem to close, Allah will open one for me. Even if no one understands my pain, Allah knows it better than I know myself. This kind of faith brings a serenity that cannot be shaken by the ups and downs of life. Relying upon Allah does not mean we sit idle and wait for miracles without effort. It means we work hard, take the means available to us, but keep our trust in Allah alone. We acknowledge that success is not from our effort, but from His permission. If He blesses our effort, it will bear fruit. If He withholds, no matter how much we try, it will not succeed. This balance is the essence of true reliance upon Allah. In the end, the one who understands that ultimate help belongs only to Allah lives with confidence and humility at the same time. Confidence because they know that nothing is too big for Allah to handle, and humility because they recognize that without Him they are powerless. This is the secret of strength and faith, knowing that you do not need the whole world to stand with you. You only need Allah, and if you have Him, you have everything. When difficulties strike, they often leave us wondering why life has become so heavy. A person might suddenly lose their wealth, their health might decline, their closest friends might turn away, or their opportunities might vanish. At first glance, these moments feel like abandonment, but in reality they are reminders from Allah. He allows such trials to occur so that we do not become overly attached to creation, and so that our hearts are redirected back to Him, the Creator. If everything always went smoothly with people constantly solving our problems, we might forget that all help originates from Allah. Hardships strip away illusions and make us realize that the true one in control is not the friend, the doctor, the employer, or the relative. It is Allah alone. When a person places too much reliance on others, Allah, out of His mercy, sometimes takes those supports away. For instance, someone might be depending on a close friend during a crisis, only for that friend to disappoint them at the most crucial time. Someone else might expect constant financial assistance from relatives, but when those relatives turn them down, they feel hurt. Another person might run from one doctor to another, yet no cure is found. These scenarios, though painful, carry a powerful lesson. Allah is teaching us not to put our trust in His creation, but in Him. It is His way of reminding us that while people may be means of help, they are never the source of help. Trials are not punishments in every case. Rather, they can be opportunities to strengthen our bond with Allah. When life forces us to acknowledge our helplessness, it opens the door for us to call upon Him sincerely. A believer who faces failure after failure and seeking help from people eventually bows down in sujood, shedding tears and saying, "Oh Allah, only You can help me." That moment of desperation is in fact a moment of nearness to Allah. Sometimes the purpose of our trial is not to destroy us, but to teach us reliance, humility, and patience. Without these trials, we may remain heedless, thinking we are independent. But when Allah removes worldly supports, He is inviting us to discover the sweetness of depending solely on Him. There are countless examples of how trials redirect believers. A person who loses their wealth may learn generosity when Allah later blesses them again. Someone who loses their health may learn gratitude for every small blessing they had previously taken for granted. A person betrayed by a close companion may learn that Allah is the only one who truly knows the heart. Each test carries hidden wisdom that refocuses us on what truly matters. It is often after the storm passes that we realize the pain was a gift that taught us lessons no comfort could have offered. When the Prophet Job faced severe illness and loss, everyone turned away from him. Yet in that state, he turned fully to Allah, with patience and humility. His story teaches us that trials are meant to strip away false dependencies until only Allah remains in our hearts. Similarly, Prophet Jonah found himself in the belly of the whale, cut off from all creation. No human being could hear him or reach him. But Allah did. His desperate call, acknowledging his weakness and Allah's greatness, was answered with deliverance. These stories show that the wisdom behind trials is to remind us of Allah's nearness when all else is gone. Instead of seeing hardships as abandonment, we should see them as guidance. If life were perfect and free of pain, many hearts would never humble themselves. It is through hardship that we learn to pray with sincerity, to trust without doubt, and to love Allah unconditionally. Trials are wake-up calls, pulling us away from the distractions of this world and pushing us toward the one who controls this world. They remind us that family, wealth, and status are temporary, but Allah is permanent. They teach us that the safest place to put our trust is not in creation, but in the Creator who never changes. Thus, every believer should view trials as opportunities rather than disasters. When things fall apart, instead of asking, why me? We should ask, what lesson is Allah teaching me? How is He pulling me closer to Him? This mindset transforms pain into purpose and despair into hope. Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, and He never tests except for a reason that is ultimately in our favor. The trial that makes you cry today may be the very reason you turn back to Him tomorrow, and that return is the greatest blessing of all.
When a believer realizes that only Allah has complete power to help, their natural response is to turn to Him in prayer, supplication, and reliance. Dua is not merely a ritual act of asking. It is a declaration of our weakness and Allah's strength, our need and His generosity, our limits and His infinity. It is through dua that a servant acknowledges, Ya Allah, I cannot, but you can. This attitude of humility and trust is the key that unlocks doors we thought were sealed forever. Many people can testify that when they exhausted every worldly means and finally turned sincerely to Allah, relief arrived in ways that defied logic and human expectation. Miracles occur not because of the greatness of our power, but because of the greatness of Allah's response to those who place their trust in Him.
In our daily lives, we often underestimate the power of raising our hands and asking Allah for help. We rush to people, to technology, to wealth, and to connections, but sometimes forget the one who controls all these means. It is Allah who softens the hearts of others to help us. It is Allah who places healing in medicine. It is Allah who grants barakah in wealth. It is Allah who creates opportunities and removes obstacles. By calling upon Him, we are going directly to the source rather than relying only on the tools. When a believer makes dua with certainty, it becomes a form of reliance that brings divine intervention in ways unseen. There are countless examples in history and in our own experiences where dua transformed impossibilities into realities. A person drowning in debt suddenly finds unexpected assistance that clears their burden. A sick person, given little hope by doctors, recovers in a way that cannot be explained by science. A traveler lost in the desert finds safety against all odds. In each case, the common thread is not the power of human means, but the intervention of Allah in response to sincere prayer. The Quran promises, "And when my servant asks you concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the call of the caller when he calls upon me." This verse assures us that our prayers are never wasted, even if the answer comes in a form or time different from what we expect. Relying on Allah through dua also brings inner peace before any outward solution appears, sometimes even before the problem is resolved. The heart feels tranquility because it knows the matter has been handed over to the one most capable of handling it. That calmness itself is a form of Allah's help. It allows the believer to face trials with patience and strength, while those who rely solely on people remain restless, anxious, and fearful. This inner strength is a hidden miracle that comes only when reliance is placed upon Allah sincerely. True reliance means continuing to make effort while never forgetting that success rests with Allah. We still see the doctor, pursue education, seek opportunities, and try our best, but our hearts are attached not to the effort, but to Allah who gives results. Dua is not a replacement for action, but a companion to it. The Prophet taught us to tie the camel and then trust in Allah, meaning we take the means available but know that only Allah determines the outcome. This balance is crucial. Without effort, reliance becomes laziness. Without reliance, effort becomes arrogance. Together they form the path of a true believer. Another beauty of dua is that Allah always answers, though not always in the way we want. Sometimes He grants exactly what we ask for. Other times, He delays the response because the timing is not right. Sometimes He replaces what we ask for with something far better. And at times He withholds what we wanted because it would have harmed us, instead storing the reward of our dua for the hereafter. In every case, the believer wins because no dua is ever wasted. This understanding deepens our reliance, making us patient and content even when life does not unfold as we hoped. So when believers sincerely turn to Allah with open hands, open hearts, and open trust, they witness His miracles. The doors of ease open after hardship, the paths of light appear after darkness, and hope rises after despair. This is the power of relying on Allah through dua. It transforms weakness into strength, fear into courage, and impossibility into reality. Whoever learns to depend on Allah in this way will never feel abandoned, because they know that even if the world turns its back, the Lord of the worlds hears every whisper, sees every tear, and responds in the most perfect manner. When we turn to Allah, seeking His help, we often have a certain picture in mind of how that help should appear. We might expect wealth to pour in when we are struggling financially, immediate healing when we are sick, or instant relief when we are in pain. But Allah's wisdom is far greater than our understanding, and His help does not always come in the way we imagine. Sometimes the relief He sends is not material but spiritual, not external but internal, not visible to others but deeply felt within our heart. What we must remember is that Allah knows what we need far better than we do, and His help always comes in the form that benefits us most, even if at first we fail to recognize it. There are moments when a person asks for wealth, yet Allah grants them contentment instead. That contentment becomes more valuable than money, because while money can disappear, contentment allows the heart to remain at peace regardless of circumstances. Another person might ask for healing from an illness, but instead Allah grants them patience and endurance. That strength of spirit can elevate their status in ways good health never could. Someone else might ask for an escape from hardship, but Allah instead gives them wisdom to handle it and lessons that will serve them for a lifetime. Each of these situations reflects the truth that Allah's help is not always what we want, but it is always what we need. This reality teaches us to trust Allah's knowledge over our own desires. We see only a small fragment of the bigger picture, while Allah sees the entire plan. We often rush to what seems easy, while Allah sometimes withholds it to protect us from a hidden harm. We may long for something intensely, but Allah delays it to give it at the right moment when it will truly benefit us. At other times, He may replace our request with something better that we could not have even imagined. This is why true reliance on Allah requires surrendering our will to His wisdom and accepting that His help is always perfect, even when it does not match our expectations. There are countless stories of people who beg Allah for a specific outcome, only to later realize that not receiving it was actually a blessing. A person might pray for a certain job, feeling it is the key to their happiness, but when they do not get it, they later find a better opportunity that changes their life for the better. Another might pray for a particular relationship to succeed, but when it fails, they discover later that being spared from it saved them from long-term harm. These examples remind us that Allah's help is not measured by whether He gives us exactly what we ask for, but by whether He gives us what is best for our faith, our life, and our hereafter.
Understanding this truth changes the way we pray and live. Instead of being upset when our requests are not answered exactly as we want, we begin to say, Alhamdulillah, Allah has chosen something better for me. This attitude of acceptance brings peace because it allows us to trust that every outcome is part of Allah's help, whether it looks like a gift or a challenge. Even delays are a form of divine mercy because sometimes we are not ready to receive what we ask for. Allah knows the right time, and His timing is always flawless. Pray for more. Allah's help is not limited to worldly life. Some of the dua we make in this world are answered in the hereafter, where the reward is eternal and incomparable. On the day of judgment, when a believer sees mountains of reward stored up for prayers that seemed unanswered in this world, they will wish none of their dua had been answered here, so that all of it could have been saved for the hereafter. This perspective shows us that Allah never ignores a single prayer. His help may come in this world, in the next, or in both, but it always arrives in the best form. Therefore, when seeking Allah's help, we should do so with patience and humility, trusting that He knows what we do not. We should not measure His response by whether it matches our desire, but by our faith in His wisdom. Allah's help is never absent. It is simply shaped in the form that brings us the most benefit, even when it is disguised as hardship. If we live with this trust, we will never feel let down, because we will understand that every situation, whether gain or loss, health or sickness, ease or difficulty, is part of Allah's help guiding us to what is best for our souls and our eternal success. True success in life comes when the heart fully recognizes that only Allah is worthy of reliance and trust. People may come and go, wealth may increase and decrease, positions may rise and fall, but Allah remains constant, eternal, and unchanging. Whoever places their trust in Him will never be disappointed, while those who put their reliance on people are bound to face heartbreak, because human beings are weak, limited, and subject to change. The believer's strength lies not in the support of creation, but in their connection to the Creator, and once this realization settles into the heart, it transforms the way we view the world and the challenges within it. One of the most comforting truths is that Allah never abandons His servants. People may walk away from us even when we need them most, sometimes due to their own limitations and sometimes by choice. They may misjudge us, turn against us, or fail to understand what we are going through. But Allah knows every detail of our hearts, every tear we cry, every thought we carry, and every hardship we face. His knowledge is perfect and His care is unmatched. When we trust only in Him, we no longer feel devastated by the betrayal or neglect of others, because we know that the one whose help matters most will never leave us. The Quran repeatedly reminds us of this reality. Allah promises that He is sufficient for the one who relies upon Him, and that whoever puts their trust in Him will find Him enough. This assurance means that even when the entire world seems to turn against us, Allah's support outweighs all opposition. When He is with us, no harm can touch us except what He has decreed for our own growth and purification. This realization frees the believer from fear of people, from anxiety over outcomes, and from desperation in the face of trials. Instead, the heart feels secure, knowing that the most powerful Allah is always near. Another aspect of true success is learning that worldly measures of achievement are not the ultimate standard. Many people consider wealth, status, or recognition as indicators of success. Yet without Allah's blessing, these things can become a source of misery rather than joy. A person may have riches, but no peace, fame but no contentment, friends but no sincerity. On the other hand, someone who has little in material possessions but possesses reliance upon Allah may live with tranquility that kings would envy. This is the hidden treasure of trusting Allah alone. It brings contentment regardless of external conditions, making the believer successful in both ease and hardship. When a believer's heart rests firmly upon Allah, they also develop resilience against the ups and downs of life.
Hardships no longer break them because they know that trials are temporary and Allah's support is constant. Blessings no longer make them arrogant because they recognize that every gift is from Allah and can be taken back at any moment. This balance of patience in hardship and gratitude in ease is the hallmark of someone who truly trusts Allah. It leads to stability, inner peace, and an unshakable sense of purpose that cannot be destroyed by worldly fluctuation. Trusting Allah completely also means surrendering to His decree with love, not resentment. Many people accept Allah's will outwardly, but harbor bitterness inside when things do not go their way. True reliance is different. It is accompanied by the belief that whatever Allah chooses is for our ultimate good, whether or not we see it immediately. It is the conviction that Allah is wiser than us, more merciful toward us than we are to ourselves, and more aware of what will benefit us in this world and the next. With this faith, even the most painful trials are met with patience, and even the greatest blessings are met with humility.
In the end, the one who trusts only in Allah lives with freedom.
They are not enslaved by fear of people's opinions, not crushed by the weight of loss, and not intoxicated by the sweetness of gain. They see beyond the temporary nature of this world and anchor themselves to the eternal reality of the hereafter. For them, success is not measured by what they hold in their hands, but by the strength of their connection to Allah. And once they achieve this state, they realize that they have everything they need because the one who controls the heavens and the earth is on their side. True success, therefore, lies in trusting Allah alone. For with Him by our side, nothing is impossible, and without Him, nothing is enough.